You know what I love about Hinduism is that there are very few rules that you have to follow. There's not the same dogma that you find in other religions. And trust me, I've been to church, I've been to Catholic church, Protestant church, I've been to Hindu temples, I've been to Buddhist temples. And the thing about Hinduism is that when you go to Hindu temple, you don't have to follow what everyone else is doing. You don't have to adhere to a certain set of rules. And, this is pretty good for me because I hate dogma. I don't like it when over time there's more and more rules that you have to follow. I like it when there's more and more culture in religion that you can participate in if you want, and everything has meaning, but you don't have to follow. Now, Hinduism is this way. I visited a temple today around my area that basically epitomizes this. Now, in a lot of temples, males are on one side, females are on another, but it doesn't really matter a whole lot. But in this one, it was just all mixed. And there were a whole bunch of little ceremonial things that were personal that you didn't have to do, and that most people did the same thing, but everybody didn't have to do the same thing. There were people that did slightly different things. For instance, when you throw rice at Ganesha's feet, as I did today, you don't necessarily have to do that. And when you adorn yourself with the red or the sandal cum powder or the sandalwood powder, you don't have to do that. You can mark your third eye and signify it to yourself and others, but you don't have to. And you also don't have to basically put your hands together and bow, or you don't have to kneel. You don't have to get on your stomach and supplicate yourself before whatever God, whatever form of the one source, the one God, as I understand Hinduism through. It was very interesting to see a lot of people doing different things. And this isn't something that you see at every temple, but most temples, everybody they can do their own thing. They can worship God in whatever way they see fit, because there's so many different forms, obviously. Now with Ganesha, it's the God of wisdom. In essence, this is basically a representation of the one whole source that you can worship the source through, Ganesha, wisdom. But you don't find the demand to kneel because you're sinful, or get down on your knees and pray, otherwise you'll go to hell. Because hell in Hinduism, for most Hindus, I'm not going to say all Hindus because there's no such thing as all Hindus believing one thing. Hell is something that you go to for a while, but not something that you're there forever. And reincarnation itself is a counter to authoritarian rule. Now, how is reincarnation a counter to authoritarian rule? Reincarnation is a counter because it basically says that you may be born anywhere on the earth, but how you act in that life, and how you recognize God, and how you relate to your own soul, how you seek to achieve liberation, moksha, and become one with your soul and destroy the ego, that isn't something that a priest can do for you. Now, in a lot of other religions, if you don't follow the code, you can get excommunicated, or they'll say that you're going to go to hell forever. And if you get excommunicated, just basically going to hell forever, that if you don't bow down like they demand, you will go to hell forever. And the only way to get to God is to follow the precepts, follow the code, the law that is set down. And a lot of time this code is set down over time, this law is set down over time, and it has very little to do with God. It has more to do with the authority of whatever central authority is in charge of the religion. But this is not the case with Hinduism. There is a central authority for many Hindus, but it's not something that demands one thing in order for you to either go to heaven or hell. Now, when it comes to all the significance of all the little rituals, marking your forehead, getting on your knees, pressing your forehead to the ground, offering rice, offering flowers, listening to the stories, saying Jaya at certain points, and turning around in a circle at certain points. These are all things that add to the worship, but not things that are required, which is amazing because in most religions you're required to do specifically these things. And holy water is kind of given freely, and also you can offer it freely, and you don't have to basically do things like the Catholic Church does, where you take in the body of Christ and the blood of Christ. It's more about you getting in touch with God through whatever form you see, whatever form you wish, and doing it through many different ways if you wish. And a lot of people don't see Hinduism as with the depth and the intellect that it really is. I've always seen Hinduism on the intellectual side. I've always seen it through understanding the different ideas and gods as they are relative to the source, but also as basically being ultimates. Not something that has words that demand that you learn the words, that you demand that you do this ritual or that ritual. So I really haven't been to a lot of temples. Temple life is new to me. I'm more on the monastic side of Hinduism, the yogic side of Hinduism, the different forms of yoga that you can work towards God through. So the temple ceremonies are new to me, but I'm equally refreshed by the fact that the temple ceremonies aren't set down in stone, just like the yogic paths aren't set down. So there's many ways you can reach God. And, a lot of people talk about Kali Ma, and they say, a lot of people don't know about Hinduism and don't really care about Hinduism, say, oh, Kali Ma is a god of death in Hinduism, and that's ridiculous. I even wrote down something that basically explains it. Asking if Kali Ma, in my case, is the god of death, asking if Kali is the god of death, is like asking of God if Jesus is the god of cannibalism. So asking if Kali is the god of death is like asking if Jesus is the god of cannibalism, because it goes deeper than the adornments. It goes deeper than the outward appearance, the outward appearance of whatever deity. It goes, all those outward appearances, all those offerings, all those rituals are meant to go down to a symbolic level in your subconscious and basically represent things that are deep in reality, not necessarily just what you see in the physical presence, but that which is deep in reality. And like when somebody eats the body of Christ, they're not literally eating the body. It just means that you're partaking in a connection that is very personal, because you're taking it into yourself. Now the same is it's the exact same with Hinduism. When you're doing these rituals, it's about relating to God yourself, and all these little things help you to relate to God. And the symbolism, once you get down to it, is very effective. It's very personal, and it is effective because it's personal. All these little things that you do as an individual allow you to both subconsciously understand God through this relationship, through these little ceremonies, and also to relate to other people that are doing the same thing, and accept that God can be worked with through many different avenues. And all these little ceremonies that we do as Hindus, they can be the avenues that lead to greater understanding if we truly contemplate them. But that's all I really have to say about the temple that I had to visit, or not that I had to visit, but that I did visit today. And I felt like I should go, because there are several signs that were pushing me towards that area. Not all signs that were Hindu, but there are quite a few signs pushing me towards going to that temple, participating in the ceremonies, and really seeing how temple life is. And this isn't the first temple I've been to, but I haven't been to temple a whole bunch of times. And it's very refreshing to be around other people who were trying to relate to God in all these different ways, all the little ways, but also recognizing these little ways as being symbolic of bigger ways. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the future.